videos are for educational purposes only. I'm not selling anything or promoting the sale of vape products on this channel. You must be of legal vaping age 18 to 21, depending on where you are in the world, to view this video. Sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy the content.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to this week's live stream. Thanks for joining us. Who have we got in today? Dion, thanks for joining, mate. I am looking at two screens, so if I don't look directly at the camera, because I'm looking at the screen. Starting a bit different today. Lee Swetnam, hi. Dion, hi. Thanks for joining, mate. Vaping Bick, if you're still here or still dropped in, thanks for dropping in, mate. I know you've probably just come back from Paris Expo, so I understand that. Welcome, guys. Thanks for coming and joining this week's retro live stream. How is everybody? What's everybody doing tonight? What you vaping on? Got myself a nice little drink for today's live stream. A new one that I haven't tried from Brooklyn Brews. It's a black chocolate stout, imperial stout. So it's a 8.4%, and I'm having trouble seeing that. Aussie Cook, thanks for joining, mate. So they're the details on there. Cocoa Espresso Silky, really nice. So I haven't tried this company before, so we'll see how it goes. So what's everybody vaping on tonight? So I'm still on the Pulse Mini AIO with the V2 vessel in there. Custom tip from Vince's Tips from back in the day. He doesn't make tips anymore, but that is a Vince's tip from back in the day. In that I have, let me get this off. So in this I do have Ice Melonade. It was a Labs from Dark Star. So that's what I've got in there. Nice, refreshing vape. Perfect. Kicking ass on there. And I've still got that 28 gauge Fralian in there. And then also I'm still vaping on the Turnstone from Early Bird. A review's just dropped earlier on today for this, so make sure that you go check it out. I've got a Doc drip tip on there on the Sidekick, and in there I have another Labs flavour that did make a return to Dark Star, white chocolate raspberry donut. On the recoil, Lee, that's good. Is that dual coil or single coil? Golden Virginia tobacco. Dual, sweet. Right, guys, there's 4 of you in there. So, like I say, the Turnstone. Don't forget to check out the review for this, dropped earlier on. This is nice. Kicking ass. Great flavour. Go check the review out for this. And if you're thinking about getting one, just do it. Don't think about it. Just do it. So that's great. So let's crack open a drink and then we'll get going. So I'm just using my normal glass, nothing special. Going for the pour. Make sure I'm in camera. So it seems like a nice thick stout, which is good. Just throw that away. Let me take that off and that back on. There we are. That's a lot better. So guys, so it definitely smells like a stout. I'm getting some chocolatey notes from that. I'm definitely going to pair it with the Turnstone RDA with the white chocolate donut. Might go well. I don't think it'll go pretty well with Ice Melonade, but it does smell gorgeous 8.4%. Cheers, guys, to everybody that is here, dropping in and out, and hashtag replay crew. Cheers, guys. Let's have a toot on this. Oh, nice. That is like a really dark chocolate, a really bitter dark chocolate. Definitely brings out the raspberry in this juice here. Hungry Hippo, thanks for joining, mate. Yeah, definitely. Can't taste much coffee notes in that, but definitely a chocolatey, dark chocolatey stout. Oh, I'm getting a bit of the coffiness now with the aftertaste. Really nice. Right. So as you can see, guys, I've started slightly different. Just avoid me moving the camera about. At least here I can just swizzle it about and go from there. So, anybody, any guesses of what tonight's retro build will be? There's kind of a sort of a little hint in the title. Don't make no sense. So as you can see, Nightbot will be making its rounds. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and also comment and share. Helps the video a lot. So Nightbot's doing its thing there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the camera where I want it to be, and then we'll go from there. So I'll just move you out like that, swizzle you around. There we are. So I want you about there. Want you about there. So like I say, anybody guess what today's retro vape is? Or what I'm going to be building on today? That's cool. Hungry Hippo, that's not a problem. Dion, haven't got a clue. So this is, well, should I say this particular one is from 2016. Anybody been vaping round about that time or before that time? Yes, it probably will be Hungry Hippo. Even the retro stuff. Right, okay, not a problem. So I won't keep you in suspense anymore. I'm just going to quickly blow my nose, but I'm going to turn my mic off because nobody wants to hear that. And I'm back. Right, so I did put it upside down, hence the doesn't make any sense. So what I'm going to be building on today is the Sense Heracles RTA. Anybody remember this one? So let me get all this focused. So this is a 25mm not RDA, RTA. Yeah, the Heracles, yeah. Sense Heracles RTA. So, Lee, if you've ever used the Griffin, it's very similar to the Griffin RTA. top, bottom. So you've heard of this one, Hungry Hippo? Yeah, this is about 2016-ish when RDAs and RTAs started going from 22 millimeters to 24, 25 millimeters. So the drip tip is a proprietary drip tip. It does come with an adapter in the box for you to run your 510 drip tips on there, but it is a threaded proprietary drip tip straight out the box. Top fill. So these are quarter turn ones. These are threaded. So nice kidney holes there on both sides. So there's that. So this tank also has juice flow control, as you can see there. All you have to do is spin your deck around to turn it off and open it back up, like so. You just spin the tank while it's on your device. Let's take the deck out. So I've gone and taken the glass out. Now this can be a bit fiddly because these don't have this does have a stopper, but can be a bit fiddly to get off. So let me just grab a glove. I'm not going to put it on, I'm just going to use it to help just get the chimney off. I haven't used it, and I just hope it hasn't seized. There we are. So I'll move that aside there. As you can see, it breaks down. Chimney, glass. Before the TPD hit, and when tanks were 2 mil and above. So I believe this was about 5 or 6 mils, this tank. So Dion, yeah, they were very, very popular for the sub-ohm tanks. They did amazing sub-tanks, pre-made coil tanks back in the day. They were on top of the game around that time. So yeah, that's the top bit. So this is the deck. So as I've said before, if you're familiar with the Griffin tank, it is a very similar build deck to the Griffin tank. Velocity style posts. So this is what made vaping a lot easier for builders and stuff when this sort of deck came out. So you've got airflow coming from underneath the coils. You've also got airflow coming underneath the posts as well. So you've got your wicking ports there to lay your cotton in on the side to wick up. Straight screws, which I'm not really a fan of. I've never been a fan of straight screws, but they are straight screws, like that. So you're probably looking at about 22 millimeter in diameter, that deck. So you can't put real big exotic builds in there. Oh, right, Lee. Okay. Nothing wrong with clones, or nothing wrong with clones in my opinion. I do have clones. So that's what we're going to be building on today. And because of the deck space, I am going to be making an alien, but I'm going to be making a 2-core alien for this. So in my previous live streams, when I talk about the math of adding a wire and taking away a wire, will come into play with this stream. So I'm going to do a 2-core alien for this. And that's what we're going to be building on. Sense Heracles tank. So let me pop that away for just a second. Let me get you positioned and everything where I want you to be, so you can see what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So I want you about there. and straight. Let me just quickly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom you out. There we are. So you can see exactly what I'm doing as I am doing it. So ahead of time, because I normally have issues, I have made myself a spare D-core just there. So I'm going to be making a dual core Alien using 26 gauge Ni80. This is Stealth wire. This is wire from Stealth Wire, a really good wire in my opinion. It's a lot better than the Crazy Wire company wire that I have used in the past. So 26 gauge Ni80, and then is going to be Alien wrapped with 36 gauge Ni80, same again, Stealth Vape. Okay. So like I say, I do have a spare decore. I'm still going to do a decore and everything for the video so you can see what I'm doing. The only difference is, obviously, if I mess up, because that's what normally happens, it normally messes up. So I've got a spare decore just there, just to be on the safe side. So what I'm going to need is 2 pieces of 26 gauge that I'm going to pull off the spool and stretch. So what I want to have is about 35 centimeters or 350 millimeters. I will need some pliers and some cutters. I like to have extra wire just for chuck and swivel, you know, stuff like that. So I'll get my 2 cores set up and ready, and then we'll do the D core and show you what I mean, where the math comes into play. So I'm just going to pull off roughly, or measure roughly 35 centimeters. So Ni80 is a nice soft wire, so I'm able to straighten it straight off the spool. So just grab it really tight with your pliers and give it a little pull until it gives a bit, and then you'll end up with a nice straight piece of wire just there. So I want to just roughly 35 centimeters of wire just there. So that's my first piece of 26 gauge, and then I'm going to pull off another piece about the same length, about 35 centimeters. And again, just pull on the spool just slightly till it gives, and then you end up with a straight. You can do it with your drill if you want to. You just pop it in your drill and hold it one end, not very tight, and give it a few spins, and it'll straighten it out for you. But Ni80, like I say, is a soft wire, so you can do it on the spool. 26 gauge anyway. So there's another piece just there. So that's my second piece of 26 gauge there already. Now, because I am doing a 2-core Alien rather than the standard 3-core Alien, this is when the different math comes into play. So if you're doing a normal 3-core Alien, depending on whichever gauge you are using, 26, 24, 28, if you're using 3 pieces of wire, you do your D-core off the same wire, but changes when you add and take away a wire. So because I've taken away a wire and I'm only doing a 2-core Alien, I want to be doing my D-core off a thinner piece of wire. So the way the math works, depending on whichever gauge you're using to make your aliens, you want to, if you're taking away a wire, you want to do your D-core off 2 gauges higher. So in my case, I'm using 26 gauge dual core. I want to do my D-core off a 28 gauge piece, which I've got here already ready for me to go. So same again, if you're just doing a normal 3-core, you do the D-core off the same size wire. If, say, like I was adding a wire and doing a 4-core Alien of 26 gauge, I'd have to do my D-core off a thicker piece of wire. So I'd go down 2 gauges. So for every wire that you add or subtract, go up or down 2 gauges of wire of the wire that you're using for your cores, if that makes sense. And I hope that makes sense. I hope that hasn't confused anybody. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So let's get set up. So I use this little table that I've cut down. Just short. This is what I use to mount my drill on. It's just so that I have eye length when I'm doing my builds. It's just the way I like it. I don't like it all the way down, so I'm down here. Interlocks yourself, yeah. They're brilliant coils, they are, Hungry Hippo. Interlock coils are very tasty. But aliens of any kind, whether it's just normal aliens or interlock aliens, they're definitely a better vape than your standard fuse Claptons. So I'm just using a clamp here just to clamp my drill down. So the drill that I'm using is a Daedalus Pro drill. If you've got a normal standard drill, just use the same thing. As long as it's got a forward and backward, reverse motion and forward motion, and speed wise, you should be good. I'm just using this because this is what I've got and this is what I've had. So that's locked down so it doesn't move. Right, I get you, Hungry Hippo. So when you say the fused method, do you mean by doing one piece at a time and then force fusing it, or using 2 pieces of wire separately and fusing? So here I've just got a piece of 28 gauge wire with an L in there just for my chuck. So you can use any 28 gauge wire. I'm going to cut myself there for some reason. So any 28 gauge wire, I'm just using Kenthal because I've still got loads of it. So I'm using a 28 gauge piece of Kenthal to do my decore off. I'm using my flat chuck as well. So anybody who hasn't got my lives before, this is just a chuck that is flat with teeth that keeps all your multi-core bills nice and straight and parallel and next to each other. Yeah, I used this, but it took the fun out of making coils for me, Dion. And I've actually got another one of these, brand new one of these that a friend gave me. That got one and just didn't know how to use it, so he gave it to me. So I've actually got a spare one in my drawer as well. So I won't have to buy a drill anytime soon. So I'm using some goggles just so I can see a lot better what I'm doing. So it does have a center point there that the wire just lays in, which is the center part of the chuck. And then I'm just going to lock that down with that L bit just sticking there. That's just to mount my wires just there. And then I'm going to lock that in. Nice there. And then I'm just going to pull my wire. I'm going to put a little L in this side for mounting on the swivels, or my swivel. So if you've obviously joined me before, you know my swivel setup, which is basically a bench vise with a piece of wood and some swivels attached to it. So I'm using ball bearing swivels. Use ball bearing swivels, they're the best. So I'm just going to lock my wire in there by folding it over and locking it in. So like that. So I've locked that in like that. I'm going to make my swivel, get my swivel locked down. You want a bit of play in your wire. So that to me is just a tidgy bit tight. So I'm just going to release it this side, and you want it a bit more like that. So yeah, that's a lot looser like that. Make sure that your swivels are spinning on this side. Always check which they are. They are nicely. So get you in a bit close so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to just pop that there like that. Once I get started doing the decal, I will zoom you out so you can see the rest of what I'm doing. I'm just zooming you in here now so you can see how I mount it and how I do everything to get to this point. So to do your decal, you're basically doing a fused Clapton. Not a fused Clapton, just a standard Clapton is basically what you're doing at this stage. Yeah, true, true. I mean, back in the day, Lee, I mean, I don't know how long you've been vaping, Lee, and I'm sure I've asked you before, um, but back in the day, we used to rebuild stock coils as well. You know, pre-made coils, we used to take them apart and remake them as well. Those were the days, eh? So, you're basically doing a Clapton with this wire, and then the Clapton bit is what you're going to decal off this piece of wire here. Now, when you're doing aliens, you've got to make sure you get your wrap right. So I like to do my final wraps over the top. So when you're doing your decal for your alien, you wrap it the opposite way. So I'm wrapping it from underneath, the wire from underneath. Okay. Now, if you're the opposite way around and you're comfortable wrapping underneath, you need to wrap your decal from over the top. Okay, so it's always the opposite way to your final wrap. So like I say, I like to wrap over the top. So I'm doing my decal from underneath. No, it never normally does, Lee. So Hungry Hippo, in your case, if you like to wrap underneath, you do your decal over the top in this in this in this stage. Okay, so if you like to wrap underneath, you do your decal over the top. Now I'm opposite to you, Hungry Hippo. I like to wrap over the top, so I'm going to be doing my decal from underneath. So I've got my 36 gauge NI80, which I'm just going to mount obviously onto that piece of wire just there. This piece that's sticking out just there, it just makes it easier. So I'm using some tweezers, and then I'm just going to grab that with my tweezers and then just wrap around there like that, just to lock it in. Don't have to be anything special, just as long as it's anchored down. I can get hold of it, just so it's anchored down. Now this is a bit tricky obviously because I'm on camera, but yeah, basically lock down like that. Make sure your drill is in the right direction. So I want to be wrapping underneath, so I'm making sure. So like I say, you're doing a normal Clapton, you want your spool or your wire 90-degree angle, and then just basically send it. So you want nice tight wraps. Don't hold your spool too tight because obviously you want this decal to slide off the core wire. And then you just want to basically do that. So this is the part of the alien which you can correct if you overlap or wrap back onto yourself. Just undo it and then carefully carry on. But when it comes to the alien part, you cannot do that. You just have to carry on. So this is how fast my drill goes. So this is basically what you're doing. So let me just read that. Well, I don't get which coilers give you jip for wrapping underneath. It's all about the individual person. Hungry Hippo. It's just thingy, so I don't know why you get thingy. Yeah, Lee, Fast Tech. Oh my god. Fast Tech from back in the day was your one-stop shop for clones, and they were really, really cheap. I remember Fast Tech as well, Lee. So let me carry on. So Hungry Hippo, don't worry. Just do it whichever way is comfortable for you. That is the whole point of building. Not everybody builds the same. But yeah, Lee, Fast Tech. Oh my god, that brings back memories as well. For me, I bought a hell of a lot of stuff off Fast Tech. So when you're doing your decor as well, also you want more decor than your final wire. So for instance, if you're doing about 30 centimeters of wire, you need about 35 to 40 centimeters of decor. It's always good to have extra and not need it than to need it and not have it. So I'm just going to bring you out here. So let me go back. What am I doing here? So there we are. Just going to bring you out here so you can see me a little bit better and just see me go all the way across. So I'm going to start off again. Like I say, I'm not holding my spool very, very tight, 90-degree angle, and just send it. These bits are probably the easier parts of building, especially if you're just doing a normal Clapton. So this is what you'd do if you were just making a normal, simple Clapton build. I did get some new swivels, Aussie Cut, but they were crap. The ones that are on the end here, they were rubbish. But a couple of coil builders have recommended some Cedra fishing swivels, and they're probably apparently they're really good. So when I get paid and I've got some extra money, I will be buying some better swivels. But all I've done with these is just soak them in WD-40, like you mentioned a couple of weeks ago. And they're spinning all right at the moment. But I will be getting some new swivels, some proper swivels. Just don't cheap out on your swivels. Just spend the money. You cheap out on your swivels, you'll have to do what I've basically done. I have to buy it the second time. So I'm going to Clapton all the way to the end of this wire, all the way to the end. When you cut it as well, it will recoil or spiral back a little bit. So hence why you need slightly extra as well, because you will have that slight recoil of the wire. So I am at the end here now. So I want to leave a little bit of a tail on there as well. So let me get you a little bit close here so you can see. So as you can see, I'm all the way to the end here. Now when I chop it, it's going to recoil or spiral back just slightly. So I want to leave a little bit of a tail on there just for stretching purposes. So there, as you can see, it did spiral back a bit. So I've lost about a centimetre and a half. So, Dion, do you have a YouTube channel, mate? I had no idea. So, like I said, where are we? Where are we? Oh, on Instagram. I already follow you on Instagram, mate. So anyway, back to what I was doing there. I just was asking because I would have followed you as well. Definitely, definitely. So as you can see, it is recoiled just a bit. So get you back out here a bit. So all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to cut this tab end off here, leaving a bit just like I said there. And what you'll find here is the decal will slide. Can you see how it's sliding to the end? And that's how you want it, just so it slides off that decal perfectly. So I'm just going to chop this end here. Slide your decal, be very, very careful, just slide it off like that. And there's your decal all ready and set there. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece of 28 gauge off and put it aside. It won't be wasted in any way. It'll be used for another stream. So I've got my decal here now. What I found recently, especially because I'm working with a carpet and not a smooth floor, I find that cutting my decals in half, directly in half, helps me a lot with the build. So I've just got over 29 there. So where are we? So just under 15 centimeters, and then I'm just going to give it a quick chop in half. So I've got two pieces, two separate pieces of decal there. So you don't have to do it this way. It's just I find this way easier for me to do it, especially with having a carpet. If you have a smooth floor, you probably won't have to chop it in half. I just chop it in half because it's easier. Basically, for me, the way I do it, it's easier for me. So decal's done and set, chopped in half and ready. So what I'm going to do now is to sort out my core wires. So I just want to make them nice and level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it level on one side like so. And then just run my finger down and then cut it flush this side. So that's all I'm going to do is I'm just going to snip and cut it flush like that. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mount this into my flat chuck here. So it does have a center point, but I just want to be just slightly in between that center point. So there we are. So I'm just going to have a quick look and then clamp it down. There we are. So I'm going to lock that in. So if you haven't got a flat chuck like I have, just take your end bits and put a 90-degree angle in each one and feed it into your chuck. Because not everybody has a flat chuck like this. They've just got a normal chuck, drill chuck. So like I say, just take the ends, put a 90-degree angle in both wires and feed it into your chuck. So that is locked in just nicely. I'm just running my fingers down, keeping it all parallel and stuff like that. This end, I am going to put an L in it, obviously for mounting into my swivel. So grab my swivel and bring it over a bit. There we are. So I'm just going to take that and then just fold it around and lock it in. As long as it's locked in, you should be good to go. So this is where I do things just slightly different. Now, if I was doing just a normal fused Clapton, I won't be doing the stage that I'm doing now. The reason why I do it, it just helps me. Now, because I'm doing an alien, I want to keep those cores flat and next to each other and not sort of spin and knot up. So, like with my other builds that I do, I use a keyring. And all the keyring's going to do is just keep it nice and flat like that, which I will zoom you in and show you. So in this case, you can use key rings, Lego, snap hair clips, a guide if you have a guide. You can use stuff like that. You don't have to do it like this. This is just how it works for me. And there's also a tip to try for people that are having a bit of difficulty doing some builds. It might be a little tip that will help you. And all that's doing is keeping everything nice and flat. So keeping everything nice and flat in there. Let me lock this in. So let's try some manual focus here, see if it comes a bit clear. So that is a bit more clear there for you to see. So that is locked in. So all that keyring is doing is just keeping them flat and next to each other. It's just so this end that I'm going to be aliening doesn't spin around and mess up on me and tangle. So I do have more wire than I need. I always like to have extra wire. Just going to have a quick measure, which should be all right. That should be enough wire. Jeevan, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it, brother. Yeah, that's cool, Jeevan. Pre-made coils are brilliant. It's just that I love doing this stuff, and I've made coils ever since more or less I started vaping more higher end stuff on RDAs and RTAs. And I've been doing this for a good 12 or so years now. But pre-made coils are brilliant. Who do you use, Jeevan? Whose pre-made coils do you use? So I'm going to have a quick drink. So cheers, guys. I hope you've got something nice to drink. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. And plus, Jeevan, that's I'm hoping I'm saying your name correctly. Just wanted to do something different with my lives as well. Nobody really makes coils anymore, so this is my little bit of difference to do a live stream on there. So I'm going to make sure that my drill also is in the opposite direction. Remember, I did my decor from wrapping underneath, but I want to be doing my final wrap over the top. So that's all set up now. So let's get to the stretch, or let me try and explain to you the stretch, or show you how I do it, because not every stretch is the same, if you understand what I mean. So here we are, we're back. And get this. So like I say, every stretch isn't the same. It's not something I can tell you exactly. It's just something you're going to have to practice and play with. You want to understretch it rather than overstretching your decor. If you overstretch your decor, it's game over. You're going to have to start again. Hence, one of the reasons why I've done a spare decor. And if you've catched one of my live streams before, you know that just with people that do it all the time can also mess up as well. So have a spare decor just in case you mess up the stretch. Like I say, understretch it slightly so you have a pinch when you're obviously doing your alien part, rather than overstretching. But it's something you're gonna have to play with. So if you're new to it, or you're just attempting alien builds for the first time, do yourself a shitload of decors. Okay, so if you mess up, you can just take your decor off and start again and use another piece. So like I say, I can't tell you how much to stretch it. Every decor is a different length. Every build wire is a different length. It could be longer, it could be shorter. And I don't do it the non-stretch or the half stretch method. I can't do it. So I have to pre-stretch my decors and just do it that way. That's my preference. There might be some people in the chat that do it differently. I know Aussie Cook can do the no stretch method. That works for him. Yeah, can't go wrong. Jeevan, Dave, he's a good man, and also caused by Scott, also great. Okay, thank you, Jeevan. Thank God. I just don't want to be butchering your name. I get some names on there and I'm thinking, I hope they're not thinking that's not how you pronounce it. So if you follow me on social media, you know I've just done the review on the Turnstone RDA, so go check that out as well. That went live today. So let me show you how I do my stretch, or let me show you a stretch. So I'm just going to use this, my piece of wood that's attached to my wire. I use these clips. They were cheap from Lidl or Aldi. I can't remember now, but 3 sizes. I've got this big one that I'm using on, obviously, here to clamp down my wire. So I'm going to grab 1/2 of my decor. I want to leave the bit with the tail, because there was a tail at both ends of the wire. I want to leave the tail for when I grab it with my pliers. So the middle end, or where I cut it in the middle, I just want to pull that piece slightly. And all that is just for mounting, obviously, in this. So I'm from West Yorkshire, Jeevan. Are you in the UK as well? So I've mounted my decore in there, or one end into it. So like I say, it's something you're going to have to play with. Some people say it's the feel, and you'll remember it. But once you get it down, it'll be like muscle memory to you. So I do it by feel and also by looking through these, because my eyes are not great for seeing small stuff. This is why I use it. So I do it by look as well. So what you're wanting to achieve is sort of like a corkscrew sort of look to your wire. That's what you want out of it. You don't want to overstretch it. Like I say, you overstretch it, it's game over for you. Okay, so try and understretch it so you have a bit of pinch, or you're just feeding it through your fingers, which I'll get to. Oh, so you're from South Yorkshire, Lee? So I'm sort of West Yorkshire on the border of South Yorkshire. Oh, so you're from Birmingham, Jeevan? So I'm sort of, so Lee, I'm sort of like in between Wakefield and Doncaster. So I'm sort of South Yorkshire, West Yorkshire sort of thing, on the border of them both. So I'm going to stand up. So I'm going to be using just these curved pliers. And the teethless. So you're from Swinton, right? So I'm just using these teethless. So the reason why I use teethless pliers, so if you're using pliers with teeth, the wire can slip through the teeth. So this is why I'm using non-teeth flat pliers, so I can get a good grip on the wire. So I'm going to grab this end that's got the tail. I'm going to put it into my pliers. So keep hold of it tight, and then obviously do your stretch. Now, if you mid-stretch and the wire comes out, and it all curls up, if you can untangle it and pull it, it'll come back out. But if it tangles too much, then obviously it's game over. So Jeevan, yeah, Yorkshire Vapor, yeah, I used to go to Yorkshire Vapor because originally I'm from Leeds. So I know Dale Wilkinson and all them people that work at Yorkshire Vapor. And Big Tom, I don't know if you remember Big Tom from back in the day as well. He used to work for Yorkshire Vapor. So I'd say I want it about there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my hand underneath here. Now when I let go of my pliers, this wire is going to swivel or turn or swirl. Just let it do its thing, and then just be careful with your decore then. So I'm going to make sure I'm very, very careful with this decore. So let's me get this bit up here. So I'm not leaning on it in any way. So let me get you close. So as you can see, there's a slight sort of corkscrew spiral to that. I know it's a bit hard to see, but you will see once I've got it mounted and got you up close. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I don't swivel it or tangle it. So this end that's got the tail on it, I want to trim off, because this end is going on my carpet. So this is the problem as well. If you've got a smooth floor, you're fine. If you haven't got a smooth floor and you've got carpet like I have, then you might have some situations where it can snag slightly. So this is why I've taken that little tail off, so that end piece does not snag. So what I'm going to do with this end is very, very carefully, I mean, it's not very long. So no, it's not very long. I'm just going to let it flop just there between my legs. So with this end, I'm just going to very, very carefully just move that along. I'm just going to thread it in between this wire that I've got here, like that. Now, what I'll do is I'll get you in close again so you can see what I'm doing. So there we are. So I will get you about there. Let's get this all in. I'll get some autofocus going here, so I can zoom in at round about where I need to be. So there, I'll keep it there. So anyway, Jeevan, if you're still here, going back to Yorkshire Vapor, I used to love their donut. I used to love the donut and the custard cream juice from thingy. I don't know if they still do it, but they did a custard donut and a custard cream that I used to love from the Yorkshire Vapor. So, as you can see, a bit closer now. As you can see, there's a slight sort of like corkscrew effect to the wire. So all I'm going to do, obviously, with my key ring is I'm just going to use my key ring to shove this all the way to the end like that and lock it in slightly there. So this is just to keep stuff flat while I'm doing it. So your first couple of wraps, you're just establishing whether you need a pinch or not. So I use my thumb and index finger. This is how I do it. I do it like this and let it feed through. Now, depending on how your stretch has gone, this is what you're establishing now. Whether you need a pinch or you don't need a pinch, or you've messed up your stretch. So like I say, first couple of wraps, you're establishing where you are, if you've got your stretch right, if you need to pinch and all that good stuff. And then once you get your pinch, just basically leave it there. I'm just going to make sure the other end of my wire isn't tangled up or catched on anything. I've pulled my chair out a bit. Let's have another quick drink before I get started. Nice. And a bit of turnstone action. So, right, let's get going. Like I say, make sure you've got your drill in the opposite direction you did your decore from. And let's get going. So, with an alien, you need to be slightly ahead of the game, or slightly aiming towards your swivel, depending on how you've got your drill set up. So if you've got your drill set up the opposite way, obviously your swivels are going to be on this side here. So you'd be leaning that way. So you want to be just leaning slightly more forward towards your swivel. You don't want a 90-degree angle like you would with a normal Clapton. You want to be slightly ahead of the game. So, enough talking, let's get on with it. So I'm just going to very carefully hold the wire. I'm going to establish whether I need to pinch or not with my first couple of wraps, which I don't need much of a pinch really. That is just more or less a bang on. I'm just more or less letting it feed through my fingers, so I've got my stretch more or less bang on. So as you can see there, the wraps are nice and consistent. So in my previous lives, I've also mentioned when I stop, which I do, I stop every now and then. What I want to do is I want to have this flat bit here where the wire's feeding facing towards me, because when I get that pinch going and little pull there, I can get going again. Just make sure it falls where it needs to fall. So like I say, I haven't really got much of a pinch on here. So again, I'm just going to stop. And then I'm just going to move this across like that. Just a little bit at a time, steady as it goes. That way the build will go nice and correct for you. So you might find a few inconsistencies in your build. Don't worry about it. If it's just you that's vaping it, obviously I'm not selling these coils. I'm vaping them myself. So if I was a coil builder, and so you see how this has gone a bit weird. So this is why you have to be extremely careful. Slightly more difficult to do a 2-core because it will spin on you slightly, but not to worry as long as you get going again. So it will twist and turn, probably because I'm doing a 2-core and it's easier to obviously spin and be a bit more springy. But yeah, steady as it goes. So again, I'm just going to pull into place and carry on. So I'm not going to talk, guys. I'm just going to keep going. I'll try and not miss any comments that you make. The stop and start. So yeah, so I'm with you there, Aussie Cup. So like I say, because I start and stop is one of the reasons why I like this sort of bit here, this flat bit facing me. for the simple reason that I can get that first wrap going. At the end of the day, Aussie Cook, I can show you how to do it, but at the end of the day, it's you that actually does it. So you can show people the tools, but what comes out is what you do, my brother. So I'm happy that I can help in any way, shape or form. I appreciate it and I appreciate the love as well. So let's carry on. So like I say, I like it in front of me, just so I can get that first wrap situated and then going again. And like I say, I've got my stretch bang on, because I'm not even doing any pinch. I'm just letting it slide through. I'm letting it slide through my fingers. I'm just letting it slide through my fingers, which is what I want it to do. That's when you know you've got a perfect pinch or perfect stretch, but it doesn't always go that way. Hence why I say just bang yourself out some decent decors or more than one decor and you should be good. But anybody that's watched me before knows when I don't do extra decors, I mess up. So again, I'm just going to slide this across slightly. So it's looking quite nice. There is a bit of a twist on there, but not to worry. I will just stretch that slightly, make it a bit more thingy, just like that. And then I'm going to carry on again. So I am getting to the end of my decor just here. Let me just have a quick measure of what I've got so far. So that's not a bad amount. So I will go all the way. I will go all the way and try and finish this decor off. So there we are. Now it's getting a bit fiddly. So there we are. So that is my first piece of wire that I've just done here. So what I'm going to be doing is my second piece of wire. I'm just going to switch out my key ring because that one is a bit loose. So I want a bit of a more stiffer one on there. So this is why it's good to always have extras and spares of stuff. So again, I'm just going to put a key ring on there. That's a lot better. a lot stiffer on there. So yeah, that's my first bit of a dual core alien just there. So I am going to cut this tail off. Won't be needed. So what I'm going to do is, you've seen me stretch the first wire. Second wire I'm just going to quickly stretch off camera, and hopefully I'll get the pinch right. Not the pinch right, the stretch right again, so I don't have to mess about. But thankfully I did do a spare. So again, just going to mount it, grab it with my tweezers and pull. Which I want about that. Same setup again, this is all I'm doing. So cutting the tail end, the bit that I stretched off, so that bit doesn't snag in my carpet or anything. Dropping the other end on the floor, putting it between my legs, like so. And I've just dropped my decore. There we are. I need to make sure I have the correct end, which I do. So making sure it isn't, I haven't messed it up. So I'm just going to do the same. I'm just going to, without doing the camera, is I'm just going to try and just split. I'm going to try and split this wire. There we are. And then thread that end piece through there, like that. And just bring it back over to here. Now, it doesn't have to be anything special, but I will just get that first wrap situated there. Move that up slightly. And again, I'm just doing the same thing that I did before. I'm just establishing pinch for this wire. Like I say, hopefully I will have got the stretch just bang on. So thanks for everybody that is still here. I appreciate you all. And let's get going again. There we are. Perfect. Right. Let's see what we're dealing with here. So I'm just going to make sure all that's together, like so. And let's start the wrapping. So again, I haven't done bad with the stretch. So the stretch is, again, bang on. So I'm just letting it feed through my fingers. Yeah, this is just feeding through my fingers like the first bit. So I will speed up slightly. It's slightly easier to do a 2-core alien rather than a 3-core alien. It's a lot easier in my opinion. but don't quote me on that. So again, looking good. That faced towards me, getting that first wrap situated, and we're off again. So far so good. Famous last words. And like I said, I said so far so good, and then I messed up. And I messed up royal. So it's not too bad. So you need to carry on if you mess up like I have. So what I want to do there, as you can see, there's a little mess up there. Nothing I can do. Lauren, thanks for joining. Appreciate you dropping in, Lauren. So this is where nylon tweezers will help. So I'm just going to flatten that out. Right, you know what? Let's move on and carry on. So like I say, if you make mistakes at this part, you can't recover. You just got to carry on. Again, slide a bit, get this situated where I want it, and carry on. And I got my stretch perfect as well. And I had to mess up there. And I've messed up there as well. Haha. Right, so guys, what I'm going to do here is I've messed up twice, so I'm going to unfeed my wire and I'm going to start again. Thank God for the spare decal. And mistakes like this do happen. So this is one of the reasons why I do like it as well when stuff goes wrong, because then you can just see what I'm going to do now, which is I'm just going to unwrap this, and pull it out. There we are. So I've just unwrapped that and I've just dropped that old decal, which I don't want to do. I need to find that decal that I've just dropped. Otherwise that's going to cause me issues with my next decal. Okay. I've completely lost that decal. Now I can't remember if I threw that decor out. It's not on me or anywhere. Anyway, let's carry on. Mistakes happen. Thank God I've got a spare decor just here. And we'll get that measured up and cut in half. So again, just want about 15 centimeters in half. There's one, and I'll go and stretch this again. So thanks to everybody that's still here. Appreciate you all. So let's try again. If at first you don't succeed, try again. That's the most important thing about building, not to give up. Keep going, keep powering on. Mistakes do and will happen. It's just a learning curve. And as you can see, like me, I've been building for years now, and even for me, it will go wrong. Alright, let's try again. So I've stretched my decor again. And again, just chopping that tail end off that's going on the carpet. And hopefully I'm not going to come into any trouble finding that other decor either. So just going to clean this up a little bit. And again, I'm just going to thread this part through these two like so, and then I'm going to move it across just about there. And again, we'll start off again. So I'm gonna again establish my pinch and everything and all that. Very stressful. Let's have a bit of the Pulse Mini AIO. Right, let's try again. Oh, make sure your drill is in the right direction as well. So again, it looks like I've got my pinch just bang on. I'm not going to rush. I'm just going to let it feed through and do its thing. And hopefully not get into any issues again. Make sure my wire feeding up isn't getting knotted in any way. So I'm just going to let it feed through. I'm not going to go fast. I want this second part to go better than the first part. I haven't got much of a pinch on. I'm just holding it tight. And again, I've just got a little tiny imperfection just there. I don't want to overlap anything. So again, just start off slowly. And slide over. And carry on. And again, so I do have imperfections on this second half. It's just the way the build goes, I'm afraid. But like I say, I'm vaping it. I'm not selling these coils. So it's not like they're gonna vape any differently. Like I say, I'm not selling them, so I'm not worrying too much. So get going again. I might as well just have a slight overstretch, but it hasn't become a problem. Hasn't become much of a problem, but there is a slight overstretch there. I can tell by just the way this is sitting on that dual core wire. And again, just over and get going. So I do have an imperfection when I stop and start. I think that's because I'm just slightly, and I mean ever so slightly overstretched. But it hasn't created sort of like a problem for the wrap. But it has got a few more imperfections than I'd like it to have. So a quick measure of what I've got here. Making sure my binoculars are down. So yeah, that should be roundabout okay. I am going to go as far as I can with this little bit of decor that I've got left. So just the way I'm going to position myself. So there we are, guys. That is the build done. So it is twisted a bit, but don't worry, it should come out in the wrapping. So that is, like you say, there's quite a few imperfections just there. Like I say, it is me vaping it, but it's just the way the cookie crumbles, I'm afraid, on this one. So what I'm going to do is zoom you out like that. Get this undone like that. So I'm going to cut there, hold on to my keyring, move that out of the way. So like I say, there is twists and there's turns in there, but they will come out with the wrap. So that's my first piece and my second piece just there. Now that is very twisty actually. So all I'm doing is, because it's a dual core, I can just twist it and it should just slide. Should just slide straight like it is there. Just because there's only two cores, so it'll pivot on each other and just turn like that. And same with this one, it's just got a slight thingy in there, but there is a few imperfections there. So hopefully that will damage the wrap in any way when it gets wrapped out. So let me just get rid of, I don't want to put that in there. Just let me put that out of the way here because that's a different decor altogether. So let's get the swivel out the way. And just get rid of this excess wire I've got on here. Keep everything nice and tidy and clean. There we are. Move all this so I've got more space. Get rid of that. So thanks everybody guys that are still here. Hope you're enjoying the content. Like a Nightbot has been saying, don't forget to like and subscribe. So, boom. Let's get you back here in this sort of position, like so. There we are. So we've got our coils just there. First one's a lot better than the second one. Trying to put this away. Make sure everything's tidy. So the first part came out a lot better than the second part, and this is the easiest part of a build, is a dual core alien. So for this deck, I want a 2.5mm coil. 2.5mm just for the size of the deck that I'm dealing with. Because obviously I'm not working with a lot of room with this small deck. So what I want to do is, obviously for measuring as well, I want around about the 5 or 6 wrap aim, as long as it fits on the deck. but I'll wrap and then I'll measure as well. So thanks to everybody that's just dropped in and is dipping in and out. So as always, an alien will have like a flat edge, and where are we? Let me put that there. That's a bit better. Come on, Henry. So there's a flat part and there is a rigid part, and the flat part is where you want it against your coil jig, and the curved part you want at the top. So let me just figure this out like so. Right, so your first wrap is always your most awkwardest wrap, so make sure that your first wrap is nice and tight. I just want to make sure everything is hunky-dory with everything here. Give that a little bit of a refresh. And there we are. So your first wrap is your most awkwardest wrap. So make sure that is nice and tight, and then slowly wind round. I do want to make sure that the twists and everything is out. So that is 4. That is 4. And 5, and I'm doing 6. Yeah, so 6 wraps is what I want. So that bit is not flat, so let me just pull that out slightly and give that a little turn and a flatten out. And that is a 6 wrap just there. I will get you a close-up of it, but basically that's what I'm after. A 6 wrap will fit on there nicely. So I want to be very, very careful as well with the wraps. So first wrap, like I say, is your most awkwardest wrap. So I want to get that on there. Use your nylon pliers to help you along the way if you need to. And again, it is twisting, so just be patient. And get those wraps nice and tight, or as tight as you can get them. This is being awkward with me, obviously, because it's alive and it's just how lives go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and again just untwisting this wire. There we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And again, sorry if I'm out of camera, I apologise. So I'm just using my nylon tweezers just to help me out a bit. And that is 6 wraps of both. Not the best, but yeah, it's on there. So this one's not the greatest. Is not the greatest. But like I say, I'm the one that's vaping them. I'm not selling them. So there we have. We've got a bit of pulling just there. And that's your 2-core aliens just there. Right, let's get these mounted onto the RTA. So let me put you there. Bring my building mod and RTA just there. So I'm hoping. So that's a bit clear there for you. So let's get this mounted onto here. So straight. So flathead screws, not my favourite for an RTA or an RDA. But let's get it done. So I'm just going to obviously release these post holes. So the Velocity style deck was one of those decks back in the day that made it really easy to build on rather than your 3-post design sort of decks. So it really changed everything, this deck, before everything went to postless decks and stuff like that. So it was a builder's dream when these decks came out, and then everybody followed after that. Everybody had the Velocity style deck, hence why it's called the Velocity style deck, because it's originally from the Velocity. Jeevan, I still have my Velocity. Mine is a clone as well. But I still have mine. I've got a full size and a mini. I've got juice on this mod for some reason. There we are. So let's get that going. So let's mount these coils. So I will go with this one first. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to trim these legs off. Watch your eyes. And this leg off just here like that. I'm just going to tidy them up slightly just to make it easier to mount, obviously, in the deck. And again, just with that one, I'm just going to tidy it up. So using my coiling rod just here is what I'm going to use to mount these coils. So because you've got one leg up and one leg down, one goes into the lower post and one goes into the higher post. The quad flex. Quad flex. Wow, I haven't heard one of them in time. A quad flex. So I'm just going to pop my coils in here. I don't want to slam it all the way to the posts. I just want it slightly away from the posts, just to give me room to move and stuff. Let's get these straight screws. The only problem with the Velocity style deck obviously was if you had builds like this, you had issues with it bending your leads, and this is one of the reasons I hate straight screws like that. Move that coil out. So I'm just going to bend that in just slightly there. And again, in with the screw. So I want to snug these up just nicely. So again, with this sort of deck, you didn't have to cut your leads or anything. You could mount both coils in there and be completely fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount both of them in there, and then I'll do any manipulation that I need to do of the coils when it comes to it. So again, one lead in the bottom and one lead in the top. Again, I don't want to push it all the way to the posts. I just want it near the post. And again, let's get these posts secure. And again, I'm just going to use that to lean in. And again, tighten down these posts. This is why I don't like straight screws. I like hex screws. They're just easier to deal with. And then I'm just going to bend that leg out and then that leg out as well. So what I'm just going to quickly do is I'm going to just check all these posts. I don't want to crank them down a lot. These screws are already slipping just slightly. I might have a look and a hunt down to see if I've got any spare hex screws. So now it's just a matter of cutting your leads, making sure that you don't cut your coil in the process. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And that is that. So that is done. So what I want to do now is I want to do any manipulation. So I want to bring that coil down a bit closer to the airflow and make sure it's centered and in front. So this is where the pulling and the manipulation will work with the coils. And again, with this side, sorry, I'm off camera, is I want to pull it slightly, make sure it is above that airflow and bring it down just a touch. Bring it down just a touch and then make sure that they're both the same. So I want to bring that down a touch. Like so. And then again with this. So that's how more or less I want my coils to look. There is a tidgy bit of wonk just there, which I'll take care of there. And on this side is the same. There's a slight bit of wonk there, which I'll correct just like that. So there we are. There's the coils all mounted. It's a slightly old style RTA, so I will just quickly check all my post screws just to make sure they're nice and snug. There we are. So they're nice and snug. So that is the coils all mounted like that. There we are. Got a better view just there. So they're not the best coils, but they're not bad in any way. Still vapeable. So that's your dual core aliens. Just there. Looking all nice and pretty. There we are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zero out my mod. So I'm just going to release that a bit, zero it out, make sure it says check atomizer, screw it back on. Is this a new coil? Yes. So it is currently resting at a 0.13 ohms. So it's either going to stick there or increase just slightly, but I don't want to be firing or dry burning those coils at 80 watts. So boom. So let's get these dry burned and sorted. So what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to get them to glow evenly, get all the hot spots out, excuse me, and all that. Have a quick vape. So fairly easy to build on, as you can see. Fairly easy to build on. So I've got it set at 25 watts. Some ceramic tweezers, and let's just introduce some heat to these coils. So I do normally come out this way a bit, so let me come out here because I do move. So let's get some heat introduced to these coils. So I'm not running a lot of power through them. I'm just getting just a little bit of colour on them. Give them a little strum if need be. Different people do different things. Some people strum, some people pinch, some people stretch. I do all three. Give them a little strum. Work out any hot spots. You want them glowing from the inside out, which is not too bad. I'm going to increase the wattage to 35 watts and slowly introduce some heat, giving it a strum, making sure to get out any hot spots. So if you're not familiar with hot spots, they're like lightning bolts in your coils, and you want to work them out. So I am going to give it a little pull, a little stretch, just slightly like that. Introduce some more heat, get them glowing from the inside out, making sure that there's no hot spots in there whatsoever. Let me... Come on. So let me try and do it this way a bit. So you can see slightly what I'm doing. I know that is really close, but I want to introduce some heat slowly. Keep strumming. Eventually everything will work out and get everything glowing. So I am going to increase the wattage to 50 watts. So what I'm doing here is I'm just increasing my wattage to round about where I'm going to be vaping them, because I don't want to develop hot spots at a higher wattage that I'm going to be vaping them at. So I'm at 70 watts. I'm just doing little pulses, making sure there's no hot spots anywhere. I'm going to move it up to 90 watts. And again, just sort pulses of the button, making sure everything glows. I'm going to go up to 110 watts. Short little pulses like that, just to make sure there is no hot spots. And then the final one, I'm going to do about 130 watts. Now I'm not going to vape it at 130 watts, but like I say, I don't want any hot spots developing at higher wattage. So as you can see just there was a little sort of like lightning bolt. That is a hot spot there. So what I want to do is I want to work that out so it doesn't come up. So you see how that hotspot disappeared there? There we are. Just short little pulses like that. Perfect. So I'm going to put this wattage down. I'm going to lift that up a bit. And move my camera back where it was. Perfect. So that is the coils. I'm going to let them cool down. Zero out my mod again. Just give them time to cool off before we wick. So thanks for everybody that's still here, that's jumping in, jumping out. I appreciate you all. Cheers, guys. Now, the problem with this is probably going to be wicking for me, because the wicking holes are really, really small. And can be difficult, and it's easier to get it wrong. So they're still a bit warm. Have a quick vape. Give this a quick refresh and everything. Make sure, there we are. So that is that. So let's get this wicked up. So I'm just going to move that out of the way. My preferred cotton of choice is Kendo Vape cotton. I like this cotton, and I use Muji cotton pads and Firebolt cotton. That's just my preference, the cotton that I like. Everybody's different, so everybody's taste is different as well. So 2.5 millimeters. 2.5. So I will use this cotton just here. So what I've seen other people do is they stretch their cotton out, or they agitate all the fibers and thin it out a bit. So actually I will get rid of that. That'll probably be enough. So all I'm doing is I'm just basically stretching my cotton out, getting all the fibers loose. And I've got to admit, this does work really, really well. Doing it this way, you just want to fluff out all these edges here, and it just makes for wicking a lot easier as well, like that. So I'm just thinning it out like that. It does. It does. There is a slight delay time for kendo cotton, but Lee, since I've been doing it this way, just thinning it out like this, like other people have been doing, I'm finding that break-in time is more or less zero doing it this way. Now, if I'd just got a piece and wicked it, then yeah, there would have been a break-in time for it. But this way, thinning it out like that just works nice, and it makes it a bit extra fluffy as well. So I'm going to swirl that. So there is normally a break-in time for kendo, but like I say, since I've been doing this, the break-in time has been more or less zero. After a couple of puffs, you're good to go. So I'm going to feed that through the coil. No, I'm not. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to wind that back on. Is this a new coil? Yes. So that is resting at 0.16 ohms on there. I'm just going to turn that down. Don't want to be accidentally pressing anything. Yeah, Aussie Cook. Yeah, it's working a lot better doing it that way. Just fanning it out like that. And I find, like I say, the breaking time is more or less non-existent with this. So I'm going to feed that through. So there's not a lot of tension on there. It's just nice. So it still moves. I will get 2 coils out of this. I will have extra. It's always better to have extra, because obviously you can't put cotton back on. So I'm going to turn that round using the same piece. And again, just going to feed that through. I'm going to try and feed that through. Give that another little swirl in there. And pull that through. There we are. So like I say, it's not tight. It's nice and loose. Like that. So I want about the same. Just there, like that. There is a little seed. This is why it's slightly the same as Maviton, but not as many seeds. But it does have 1 or 2 seeds in there. So again, I'm just going to cut that nice and flush. So I will be thinning out this cotton because I need to be able to get them in that little wicking pot there. I'll feed a bit down into there. Truly. Not many people do the Scottish wick now, though, I think. I don't know why. It used to be a good method, but people like a lot of crackle with their coils now. So they do underwick it to get that crackle. So I do want to thin this out quite a bit. So I'm going to use my pointed pliers just to help with that thinning out. Because like I say, I do need not a lot of cotton just to drop into those side bits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut against the deck just like that. So I'm going to cut that there, and then I'm going to just check my space that I've got for there, which should be more or less good. I'm going to cut a tiny bit more off. So about that is there. Rightly. I think everybody is. Everybody's too lazy. I'm lazy as well. So I just want to check that out. That is more or less perfect what I need or how I need it. So all I'm going to do is very, very carefully is just drop that cotton into that space just there. So I think I've got that more or less bang on. So this is the fiddly part, especially with this deck. It's slightly fiddly. Let me see if I can stay in camera view. So when I've got it juiced up, I will come back and touch this up just slightly. Let me move that out of the way. Let me just pull that slightly. And then again, I'm just going to carefully drop it into that little space. So you don't want it going all the way to the bottom. And some people are probably thinking to themselves, why don't you take that ring off? It can be a lot harder taking the little ring off. So this little ring here comes apart just like the griffin. And you just want it sitting in there. Come on. So this can be a little bit fiddly, or it is extremely fiddly, because you are dealing with a smaller deck and stuff like that. So again, I'm just going to chop there. And then again, very carefully, just pop that in there like so. So like I say, with a smaller deck, it can be fiddly. I don't think I've built on a deck like this in quite a while. Hence why I'm struggling just slightly. What we used to go through back in the day, eh? There we are. And that's in there like so. So you just want it poking through just slightly. And same with that. And there we are. Eventually all wicked up just like that. So sorry out of camera guys. So what you want is it just more or less laying on that ledge. Like that. So you have got it poking through just slightly there, but you just want it poking through. And then obviously your cotton's going to swell up as well once you get some juice on there. So you don't want it completely packed in there. So boom. Let's get back to this view. Right, juice that I'm going to be rocking on this is basically my benchmark juice, which is this. It's what I call my G14 classified. It's a juice that I get specially made for me, which I have to keep strum about because it might be released by the person that has made it. But it is a custard based juice. Excuse me. Excuse me. A custard based juice that I've got in there. So I know how this tastes and everything. So I'm going to move this down to about 25 watts just to get everything soaked and nice in there. So using glass bottles and pipettes, really old school. And I just prefer my juice in glass bottles. So I'm just going to put some juice on that cotton. To begin with, let's get that saturation going with the cotton. There we are. Let's get this cotton all saturated with that juice. Right, let's get some on the coils. Gently press that button to draw that juice into the coil, like so. And all that's doing is bringing some juice into the coils, which is what I want it to do. So there we are. Let's bump that up a little bit. 50 watts. That's nice. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go around and do any adjustments that I might need to do. Obviously, with the cotton being wet, it's a lot easier to maneuver and apply. So again, just boom, make sure everything is as it should be. Like I say, cotton swells up, so hence why I don't want these wicking ports stuffed. Like so. And there we are. That is that all built. That's looking good. So, this juice smells gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take the deck off there. Come on. So, I'm going to pop the deck back into the tank. So, I can tell straight away that there's no touching in there. So, juice flow has been turned I need to turn the juice flow off. There we are. So airflow as well on the Heracles RTA is quad airflow, so dual parallel. So you've got 4 airflow slots going all the way around, and whatever you adjust will be the same across the board. So if I close it off halfway, it is halfway all across the board like that. So let's get this filled up. Thank you, Hungry Hippo. Corporate Jason, thank you for joining. Corporate Jason, sorry. Thanks for joining, my brother. So just want to make sure that airflow is off. And I'm going to put some juice in the tank. I never really fill the tank all the way up, just in case for flooding issues. I shouldn't have any flooding issues with this tank, but like I say, I never fill the tank up just in case I need to get back into it fairly quickly. So let's get a bit of juice in there. So like I say, I do use glass bottles with pipettes. Old school, and plus I like my juice in glass. It's a bit like drinking a drink from a glass. It's better from a glass than it is plastic. Same with juice. I find it tastes a lot better when you store your juice in a glass bottle rather than a plastic bottle. So that's juiced up. Doesn't seem to be any flooding at all. No. Like that. So yeah, the Sense Heracles Corporate Jason. That is the retro build for today. Yeah. Yeah, I still use glass bottles. I mean, I haven't used glass bottles for a bit because I misplaced them. But all these old 120ml glass bottles are saved. And I just like to say, I just prefer my juice in glass bottles. Right, let me do a bit of tidying up and I'll just quickly think what I'm going to put this on. Which device I'm going to put this on. So, boom, that's away, that is away, put that away. Let's get some of this stuff away just so everything doesn't look cluttered here. Right, device that I'm going to put this on. So I'll probably put it on a regulated mod. It's just a matter of which regulated mod I'm going to put it on. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Right, so I haven't used this mod in ages and I haven't featured it on my lives yet. It's a bit overkill for the tank, but it is a 25ml tank, so I need a device that can hold 25ml. So, who remembers the cheese grater? So the Coupor 300 watt triple 18650, like I say, known as the cheese grater. Magnetic door, just there, very strong magnets as well. Triple battery as well. So yeah, like I say, a bit overkill for the tank. Yeah, definitely. But unfortunately, Corporate Jason, Frazen doesn't join my lives. So Unfortunately, I can't get Frazen to comment on my wicking and how much wicking that I'm doing, but definitely. Oh! Definitely thank you, Frazen, for joining the live. I've just said that you're not here. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining, my brother. I really appreciate it. So, cheese grater. Let me get 3 batteries to put in the cheese grating. So, Frazen, you'll probably have to rewind to the wicking of the tank. But yeah, I was very meticulous. I didn't waste too much cotton. So I've got 3 batteries here. Make sure that they're married and used in same devices all the time. Don't mix your batteries. Keep them all nicely married together. There we are. Let's hope this device actually works. Willy Wonk, thanks for joining. Lee, Noisy Cricket, that is brilliant. The vape cancel has arrived. I have 2 Noisy Crickets. Lee, very good device. Was considered a very dangerous device back in the day, but it was only dangerous if you didn't know how to use it. So yeah, oh, we got power as well. So that is working. So it works a lot like the Smock products, the Coupo products. Works exactly the same. Buttons, shortcuts, hitting modes and stuff like that definitely works same as Smock products, or it was made by Smock the Coupo. Judgment Day, Willy Wonk. You know what I'll do? Just for you, Frazen. Yeah, definitely. I do that with all my mods, Frazen. Triple battery mods are all triple battery. All my dual are dual battery, and all my singles are single batteries. Keep them married, don't mix them up. So, Frazen, seeing as that you're here, you can have a quick look at my wicking. So, this is my wicking for the Heracles. If you want to see how much I've wasted and stuff like that, you're going to have to rewind the video. But I do appreciate you dropping in as well. You as well, Willy Wonk. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you already haven't. That would be much appreciated. So let's get the Sense Heracles RTA on the cheese grater, which is good. So if I press the button, it should ask me, is it the same coil? Yes, it is. So this is saying a 0.41 ohms. So 21 watts. I don't know why it's showing that resistance, because it wasn't showing that resistance before. There we are. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open the juice flow so it can feed to that. Battery OCD. Yeah, you've got to though. You've got to. I label them. I put letters on them, numbers on them for different stuff. These just don't have any wraps on them. Normally I have wraps on my battery. Normally have booby wraps on my batteries. Some ODB booby wraps is what I normally have. I just haven't got round to wrapping these battery yet. Oh, thank you, phrasing. Now, what marks do I get on the wicking? Do I get good marks? Am I better than Nick, Grim Green? Yeah, Hungry Hippo. Yeah, the reason why I've got this brown thing here is just because so people can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to quickly check this. There we are. That's looking a bit better, 0.19. So just so you guys can see as well. Don't know if other people have seen my mat. So here. So if I just move these things out of the way, this mat is also by ODB as well. I just have this on so people can see wire and shit. But yeah, that's my mat. By ODB. It's got all the girls on there, but since then, a few other girls have come into the mix. But yeah, definitely. Definitely phrasing, and I would appreciate you dropping by again. I really would. Exactly. It's one of the to be honest with you, phrasing, I don't have problems with this mat when I'm going live. I only have problems with this mat when I do reviews. But when I go live or any of my other lives, yeah, definitely. YouTube doesn't like it. But I haven't had any problems with it on lives when I haven't had this brown thing on here. But I just have this on here for when I'm doing my coil builds and everything phrasing. That's what I do. Coil builds from scratch on here. So people can see, and then obviously the build. So there we are, cheese grater and the Heracles. Still no flooding going on there. Airflow, juice flow is completely open. So let me get you back there, swivel you round, put you up there and get you there. Right guys, can you see me? Yes you can. Can everybody still hear me? Appreciate that, Hungry Hippo. Definitely. Definitely. Grim would say that. He would say that. Yeah. True phrasing. True. That is true. Luckily enough, hopefully I haven't had that much problems. Plus I keep my mat covered now. So let's have a look at this. So Sense Heracles RTA on the cheese grater mod, Couport 300 watt, just there. Thank you. So there we are. So resistance has come back to where it should be. I appreciate that, Hungry Hippo. So boom. So that G14 juice, like I say, is something that somebody makes me that might be releasing. That's why I don't give you too much information on it. But it's definitely custard base, which is my sort of juice. Custard, donut, biscuity vapes is my jam. So still no flooding on there. Airflow is completely open across the board. Juice flow is open all the way. Tie it in a little more. So the Sense Heracles has got, you know what, phrasing? Where did I put my box? Let me grab the adapter, and I think I've got so I do have the adapter for the drip tip because the Sense Heracles is a threaded drip tip. Is a threaded drip tip or proprietary drip tip straight out the box. So I'm gonna pop the adapter on there. There we are. So adapter is on there. Now I'm sure I've got a stainless steel drip tip. I appreciate that, Corporate Jason. It is a nice combo, to be fair. And 1, 5. Okay. That is a weird one. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's a lot better. Does that look a bit better for you, phrasing? So I know there's a bit of crud on there. It's not the best. Anyway, 80 watts. Yeah, true. So anyway, let's get this thingy. So there we are, bit of matchy. The black goes with the screen. Silver drip tip goes with the mod. Right, anyway, enough talking. Let's give this a toot. So 80 watts, airflow open all the way across the board. That is tasty and almost no breaking time for that cotton. I've got that full on flavour straight away, hence me doing that shredding of the cotton. It is working well. 80 watts. Can't complain about that tank one bit. Still great flavour from a tank from 2016. Now, I don't need to close the airflow down. Let me bump it up to 90 watts. See what it's like at 90 watts. Because with dessert juices, if you vape dessert juices, you know that you need a lot of power. But the flavour of that is beautiful. Cheers, guys. I'll have a break in a second and grab my other beer, and then we'll decide what else I am doing. So 90 watts on there. That is quite nice. Let me bump that up to 95 watts. I think it can take a bit more power than that. Yeah, that is a lot better. 95 watts is where it's at the moment. Excuse me. Do you even vape, bro? So boom. So if I'm not always looking directly at the camera, I'm looking at the TV screen where I've got it mirroring what's on my phone and stuff. That is kicking ass. Flavor seems to be on point. Let me go up to 100. Excuse me, 100 watts. So 100 watts on this, and it seems to be wicking all right, keeping up with the wicking. I haven't had a dry hit so far. Definitely, definitely. Come on, off my face, Henry, and on the mod and tank. One of the things I love about being a retro vapor is some tanks from back in the day, RDA tanks, mods, and stuff like that, still pack a good punch. And I'm one of these that I've got stuff that is shit, and if I do build it, I will say it's shit or still doesn't stack up to stuff today. But yeah, that this one and the Griffin when it came out was perfect. Yeah, definitely phrasing. Definitely. Seems to be handling the wattage pretty nice though on there. And as you can see, it's wicking nicely. And there was no breaking time with that Kendo cotton. Not dry, still going. Yeah, just going slightly bit dry just there, but still some 5 nice puffs of 100 watts is not bad at all. Yeah, definitely. So the max wattage on this device is 300 watts, but 300 watts is going to mess up these coils whatsoever. I don't think it'll go do good over 100 watts. 100 watts is probably your limit. But I think for me, 95 watts is just bang on. Um, 95 watts is perfect. Is perfect for this. No, not really. It is warm, but it ain't hot or scorching hot. Juice is gone. So it's wicking perfectly. So no, it's not getting hot. I mean, if the chamber was a lot shorter or the tank was a lot stubbier, maybe. And maybe if I chain vaped it for a lot longer than 5 puffs, then yeah, it probably will get hot. So now I know that this will not flood. I will fill this tank up. So I'm just going to quickly fill this Mochoco up. And this juice as well that I'm vaping is my benchmark juice, what I normally put in anything that I'm testing first. Because obviously I know how the juice tastes. how it's supposed to taste, and stuff like that. So it's basically my benchmark juice that I use for testing all RDAs and RTAs. So like I say, if you've just joined and stuff like that, I have done a review on the Turnstone RDA. So go check out that review. That's just been uploaded earlier on today, which is this one. It's a very, very nice RDA. Yeah, true. I'm with you on that phrasing. That is true. Back in the day, there were mods that said they could handle it, but could not handle it, or you won't get in the true wattage of what you were putting in. And the thing that was really bad. Do you remember the Fuchai? Was it the Fuchai 213 phrasing? Yeah, that's not the drip tip that you get with the RDA. It's just one that I've put on there, and it is quite comfortable. And the Sidekick as well is another good mech mod as well. So I have filled that tank up more or less full. Not flooding still. 95 watts is where it's at. That is perfect. The Fuchai Swang. Yeah. So the Fuchai was known for not even getting good wattage. I think over 100 watts, was it? Or 110, 120 watts. Yeah, but it used to have that sort of like pulse, or like phrasing was saying, it has that initial hit at that wattage, then drops completely. I can't complain one bit about that tank. Old but gold. So guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to get myself another drink and go for a quick toilet break, and then I'll see what I'm going to do. I probably won't do another build, but every now and then I do want to do a segment of pre-made coils. Now, I did use Steamcraft before. These are series coils from Steamcraft. Really, really good coils. So I might build an RDA with this coil. Yeah. Yeah, voltage mods are excellent. I've got a few voltage mods. I've got a Tesla Invader 2, or is it 3, that I've got there. Custom paint job that I did myself. So that is voltage as well. I do like pink, hence why I've done the pink. So that's variable voltage. Mods. I do have the Tesla 2/3 there. And also the iJoy Zenith Maxo, which is also voltage as well. Or should I say pure voltage? Pure voltage that doesn't have wattage or anything. I'm not talking about a regulated device that you can choose wattage or voltage from. Yeah, definite Hexo. I would like this new Hexome, but I just don't have the money for it. I appreciate that, Corporate Jason. So on the 2/3, you can fit a 25mm, but not over, because you'll have overhang on it. On the 2/3. I do have a lot of old mods. I'm more of a mech person, Corporate Jason. I love my mechs, which I have loads of old style mechs as well from back in the day. Half of them clone, half of them authentic. I have got a few authentics, like you can see probably behind me, just on the shelf back there. I've got some authentics there. The Descendant, obviously the Sidekick. A Bonza Pro kit just there. Where are we? Bonza Pro kit just there. Phantom Mech mod just there. One of the best things I think Watofo made back in the day. Same site as the Cricket. Is it SM something something that you're looking at, Lee? Because if you want a good Tesla 2/3, drop me a message on Thingy. They've got them right cheap. Yeah. So there's a weird story behind that Bonza Pro kit. My original one, if you look at previous streams, I had a rainbow one, which I didn't like. It's the only one that I could get at the time. I didn't like the rainbow. I've never liked rainbow in anything mods, RDAs, RTA wise. I've never liked rainbow. I was going to get it coated, but a friend of mine had sort of like a collection of them that he was building together. He had every colour apart from the rainbow. He wanted it off me, and I did make a trade with him for that heavy hitter. Heavy hitter, just there. That heavy hitter, just I can't get my finger there. Heavy hitter, just there. I exchanged my rainbow one for him, and then he got rid of his collection that he has, and I did get this copper kit off him, the Bonza copper kit, just there, the copper one. So I ended up with that one. So guys, like I say, I'm gonna just have a quick break, get myself another drink, and we'll go from there. I'll decide on something else to build to put that single coil on there, and we'll go from there. So I will put a hold screen on, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. That is a steel phrasing for that. What I would have liked is I would have liked to maybe get my hands on one of those Bonza kits that Sam did, especially for his Patreons, where you got the stack tube with them. I haven't been able to locate a stacked tube for the Bonza. I would like the stack tube bit for it, so you could run it in series. But yeah, I'm just gonna go for a quick break, guys, and I will be back very, very shortly.
If you don't choose straight, relick, refill, and vape all day. This ain't goodbye, just a little break. More bills, more chill, more clouds to make. Max or mods, we keep it lit. Clouds so thick, we never quit. Be back in a jiffy, don't you stray. Rewick, refill, and vape all day. This ain't goodbye, just a little break. More bills, more chill, more clowns to make. We twist, it gets more than a game. Call sight, flavor on blast. Living that vape life, building fast. Maximize, we keep it lit. Clouds so thick, we never quit.
Guys, thanks for waiting.
The B-man in a jiffy, don't you stray. Rewick, refill, and vape all day. This ain't goodbye, just a little break. More bills, more chill, more clouds to make.
Right, guys, and we're back. Thanks for waiting. Thanks for being patient. So my second drink is from the same company, Brooklyn Brewery, and this is a tropical sour, 5%. My eyes are shit, so I'm going to put my binoculars on, guys. I know I look silly. So it's a Bel Air sour, is full of surprises, uniquely tart and pleasantly tropical, is totally breezy and a little electric. So it's tart, fruity and fresh. There we are. So let me crack this open and then I'll decide what I'm doing again. Keep this stream going. As long as that's what everybody wants. If they want me to carry on, I will carry on. So I have got a bit of resemblance of stout in there. That's probably not the best. So there is the pour. So if you're new and you see me throwing stuff underneath the thing, I've got a bin as well. So yeah, very zesty and tropical, this one. Very zesty and tropical. So I'm not going to pair it with this. This is a dessert juice. I'm not going to do it. I'll go with the ice melonade that I've got on this. Mixing your fluids. True. You're going to give me a strike if you think we're talking about something completely different to what you actually mean there, Hungry Hippo. So that I've got the ice melonade in there. And this smells very zesty. Straight off the bat, very zesty. That's right. Cheers, guys. Thanks for joining. Thanks for all the support from you guys. I appreciate it. Love and respect. True, Hungry Hippo. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. So very zesty and tropical. There's definitely a tropical taste there, but I'm getting more lemon and more zestiness from it. From the juice, it's bringing out more the melon from the juice. Yeah. This is very naughty. It tastes more like a juice rather than a beer. So you could drink that very, very easy and get unstuck sometimes. So cheers, guys. Just need to blow my nose. So I am going to just turn my mic off because nobody wants. And we're back. So Hungry Hippo, the name of this one is It's a Bel Air Sour from Brooklyn Brewery. I've never had one of these before from Brooklyn. Can't talk. Brooklyn Brewery. It's the first one I've had from this company. I'm not much of an IPA person. I'm more of a sours and a stout person. So yeah, I do love a sour and I do love a stout. So yeah, it's the Bel Air Sour, which is basically a tropical sour, and it's very nice. So let me. What am I going to build now, or what shall I build now? Yeah, I'm not much of an IPA or a beer person. That's the closest you'll get me to a beer or an IPA is a stout or a sour. Right, what shall I build? What shall I build? Right, I'm going to build something that I've built before. It's one of my favourite RDAs. Which is the Bonza Pro RDA. And now I have put this coil in the Bonza Pro before. But I do like the Bonza Pro. It was my favorite RDA of 2025. Excuse me. 2025 was my favorite RDA. Was the Bonza, which is here. Still in the box. So I will eventually get more coils from people that make coils, because I want to do it as a little segment. As well as me making coils from scratch, I want to be able to display some coils from really good companies to try as well. So I want to take this reducer out and put a single coil in there. So let me turn this round here so you can see what I'm doing. So that is the deck. I want to take this dual coil reducer out of there. So yeah, I do have that Bonza kit, if you saw that, Dion. It's the 1.5 RDA though, not the OG RDA. So just want to take that Hungry Hippo. I have already tried that. Thank you, Frazen. So yeah, all I want to do really, Frazen, is get my tweezers going in one of the airflow holes just there. So that's what I do just to get it going. And then I push it out like so. Let me pull you back a bit. So yeah, that's the dual coil reducer out. Single coil reducer. So Hungry Hippo, like you said, I have already tried. I think it's 2mm coils, or 2.5, I think it was, with the dual coil, with the single coil reducer. Yeah, kicks ass actually that way. So I'm just gonna pop that in there, and that's in, ready to go. Obviously, okay. So I'm not happy about that. So my drip tip for the Bonza has just broken. What a shame. I do like that drip tip as well. And a piece has just come off it. Not to worry. It's not like I don't have other drip tips I can use. So there we are. There is the deck of the Bonza. I think my very first live stream was of the Bonza. Definitely phrasing. Yeah, it was a really nice drip tip as well. I like this drip tip. Really like this drip tip, but yeah, it's gone and broken on me. And like I say, it's a shame because I do actually like this drip tip for it, and I don't have a purple one to go with it. Right, let's get a couple of post holes open. So I'm going to open one side just here. Now, for somebody who doesn't like straight screws, these are not too bad in the Bonza. There we are. So I've opened that up just nicely. So yeah, Steam Craft Coils. If you've never tried these coils, I can highly recommend them. Yeah, I could super glue it, Dion. So these are series 3.5mm, 8 wraps at 0.36 roughly. And I have used one of these coils before, so I've got one left in there. And my other coil for this did actually go in the Bonza Pro. So this is a staggered fuse Clapton. That's here. Yeah, I will definitely have to hit the next tips up. There's so many good drip tip makers out there at the moment. It's very easy to find decent drip tips. I mean, I haven't bought a customized drip tip in ages. I do have customized drip tips, but it's from a very old drip tip maker that doesn't make drip tips anymore. So here we are. Here's a closer look at this Steamcraft coil. So very nice staggered fuse Clapton, 3.5mm, 8 wraps. There we are. Looking nice and pretty and made extremely well. Vape Smarter, yeah. Stuart, he does some amazing work as well. I eventually want to get one of his build stands, phrasing. So Aussie Cook, just by the looks of it, like I said, I've been building for quite a while, so I think I can more or less decipher the wire that is here. So I believe this could be 26 gauge wrapped in 36 gauge or even 38 gauge. But yeah, really nice coils, and I'm not ashamed to admit that these coils are a lot nicer than the ones I build, but I don't use a really high quality wire. But yeah, that looks absolutely gorgeous, and that's what I'm going to be using in the Bonza Pro. Now I can't remember the coil leg length, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at a 7mm, just making sure my mic is still on, because my mic does normally die after 3-4 hours. I'm just checking that. So I'm going to go with 7mm first, because obviously it's easier to cut wire off than add wire. So I'm going to start with 7mm and then cut those legs to size. Watch your eyes. Or as Nick would say, dick him out. So 7mm, I'm just going to put that in there. So 6mm is too high, so I'm going to go with 6mm. Dion, yeah, these are beautiful coils from Steamcraft. So I do eventually, when I've got a bit more money, I do eventually want to do a segment of my lives where I use a professionally made coil. So round about that's where I want it. Is perfect. And I must admit, for an RDA that's got straight screws, is probably the only RDA that I like with the straight screws. They're nice and deep, and there's plenty of room for your screwdriver to go in there and crank down without it slipping. So let me just get rid of these little bits there. So like Nightbot says, don't forget to like, subscribe and share and comment. Follow me on my social media, Facebook, Instagram. Instagram is my platform. So that's where I am most of the time, is Instagram. He does some gorgeous build stands. The one that I'm after that he does is the black one, or it's black and gold. Is the one that he does, which is the one that I would like that he does. I mean, if I had the money for him to do me a custom one of my own, then yeah, I would get him to do it. But I just don't have that kind of money for that. So yeah, it doesn't go above that, but it's high enough to get the airflow underneath the coil. So that is nice and set. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to unscrew this, zero out my mod, check atomizer, screw that back on. So that is still not bad phrasing, 160. But I think the one that I want is about 100 quid. And 60 quid difference does actually make a difference when you have family and kids and grandkids and stuff like that. It's hard to find the extra money. The only thing that I wish he did was probably Klarna, and then I could probably Klarna it and pay for it in bits. But until I get some money, yeah, I definitely want something off Stu as well. His work is amazing, and the fact that they are the price that they are, I have no complaints whatsoever about prices and stuff, because it takes a lot of work to produce that quality work. Right, I get your phrasing. I mean, I knew Stu wasn't that expensive for build stands. I don't know about his mods and custom mods that he makes, but yeah, it's quite affordable. Still expensive, but at the end of the day, he hand makes them, and the craftsmanship that goes into it is second to none. So yeah, I get the price that he charges. You can't. Good work like that is not cheap at all. Right, let's get some heat into this. I am going to start off at 30 watts and introduce some heat to it. So slowly pulsing. Get a bit of colour. So if you're new and you don't know coils and stuff, what I'm doing is I'm dry burning the coil. What I want to happen is I want it glowing from the inside out, evenly, nicely, no hot spots. If you don't know what hot spots are, they're like little lightning bolts in your coil, and you want to work them out, little hot spots. So as you can see there, there's a little hot spot just there where my thingy is, just there. Yeah, definitely phrasing, definitely. I think that's one of the things I like about Stu's mods and stuff, is the one of ones, and you can get some really nice setups. I mean, if I had the money, I would love the walking stick mod. So I'm just heating and strumming. Different people do different things. I like to do all three. I like to strum. I like to pinch. I like to stretch. It's just what works for you. So I'm just going to pinch a little there. Some nice colours coming through. So I'm just going to bump this wattage up a little bit to 45 watts, get some more heat in there. So I am going to, I know I have already, I'm just going to check my post holes, or my post screws should I say, not post holes, just to make sure they're nice and flat. So there's quite a few hot spots in there. I just want to carefully work them out, give this a little stretch as well, can also help. So there is quite a few hot spots in there. Slowly introducing, getting all the hot spots out, just strumming and introducing heat slowly to them. So as you can see a lot of red parts here. They are your hot spots. And what you need to do is just very carefully work them out, which is slowly working here. There we are. That's looking a lot better. Yeah, I do that as well, phrasing. So there we are. That's looking good already. So I want to pump up a bit more. I want to embed the coils as well. I want to more or less heat them up to more or less what I'm going to be vaping at or wattage wise, and I don't want hot spots to occur at that higher wattage. So I'm just doing a quick thingy at higher wattage. So from 60 I'm going to go up to 80, give it just a slight pulse there, work out any hot spots that might be in there. And as Phrasing said, you can always put a coiling rod straight through. That can also help as well. There we are. So still a few hot spots in there. Just be patient, work it out. There we are. My setting just went off a bit there. So there we are. Just carefully working those hot spots out. So there is quite a few on this. So I am going to ramp it up now a bit more. I'm going to go to 100 watts. And work that out. So there is a few hot spots on the inside. There is quite a few hot spots in this coil at the moment. And it's not glowing correctly just there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully give this a little stretch or pull apart. I'm just going to pull it apart a bit. And there we are. Just give it a little. So these are getting a little bit better at a time. Like I say, I don't want hot spots at a high wattage. That's a lot better. There we are. So I'm going to ramp it up. I'm at 120 watts so far. I'm going to ramp it up to 150. And all I'm doing is, like I say, I'm just embedding the coils and making sure that there's no hot spots occurring at higher wattage. That's a lot better. Because you don't want to sort your coil out at a low wattage, then vape it at a higher wattage, and the hot spots occur at a higher wattage. So yeah, just give it a little quick pulse. I'm gonna bump it up to 180. I just won't go higher than 180, but yeah, I just want to make sure everything is as it should, which it is. So that is perfect. I'm just gonna let that cool down. So I have put that off, and then I'm going to zero out my mod. Give that a couple of seconds just to cool down. Cheers, guys. So corporate Jason, it's a hot spot. So you could probably say, well, no, it can't be. A hot spot is, like I say, is like a lightning bolt. that you have to work out. So it's a part of the coil that's heating up too much and getting a lot of power to that particular point of the coil. So that's what a hot spot is. If it's a cold spot, I've never heard of that term, to be fair. But definitely, has that cooled down? So that has cooled down. So I'm going to pop that on and see what the resistance sits at after pinching and pulsing. Is this a new coil? Yes. Excuse me. So that coil is now sitting at a 0.68 ohms, which is more or less where I like it. The 0.36 is a dual coil, if people are wondering why the resistance is different from what it says on the tin, but that's for a dual coil, not a single coil. So again, I will check. Yeah, 166. There we are. So that's perfect. Okay. That is true phrasing. That is true. That is true. But because I'm going to be putting this on a series, mech mod, I want to make sure as well. Last coil that I used obviously in this RDA, the first coil that I used lasted me ages before I got rid of it. But you are right, overglowing it can diminish the coil. But I haven't had that problem so far. But yes, that can happen, phrasing. That can happen. So that is the coil all set up just there. Let's get some kendo coil in there. Pathero, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Pathero, or is it Patero? I don't know. Good evening. Thanks for joining. Not a problem, Patheo. If that's how, I hope I'm not butchering your name. You're most welcome, my brother. Anytime, that's what we're here for. I appreciate you dropping in as well to the live stream. So here we are with some kendo cotton. So like before, like I've seen with many other streamers, they fan their cotton out. And I find doing this with this cotton, because it has sort of like a break-in period for this cotton, I find doing this fanning out, the break-in is non-existent. I find that the break-in time disappears when I do this with my cotton, like other YouTubers do with their cotton, and it does work for me. Just thinning it out and just agitating those fibers to get it going helps with the wicking and everything. So I'm just going to pull about that much off there and then pay a bit more I appreciate that, Pathero. I appreciate you joining from France. Wow. Appreciate it, brother. So again, I'm just going to still agitate these fibers a bit to almost like it's see-through, like so, like that. And then I'm just going to roll slightly, keeping it nice and fluffy, because this cotton is quite fluffy. A lot of people think it's right dense, even before when I didn't used to do this thinning out of the cotton. People thought it was dense. It isn't dense, it is really fluffy. A really fluffy cotton. And just that thinning out helps a lot with the breaking time. So I'm just going to pop that through there. So it's not too tight. It's nice and loose. Like that. You don't want it completely tight. So phrasing, I know you're going to be probably looking at the way I'm doing my cotton. So I've got enough for that side. I'll get 2 coils out of this cotton. No wastage whatsoever. So I'm going to chop it around about there. I will save that. It won't get wasted. I'll go for another single coil later down the line. Thank you, Corporate Jason. So what I want to do is, even though I have fanned this out, I still want to not thin out, but I want to agitate this cotton a bit. Just sort of like re-fluff it out to help with the wicking and stuff like that. And then just agitating those fibers as well. And all that will help with the wicking as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give this a quick haircut on one side, and then I'm just going to carefully tuck this in. Let me give that a more cleaner cut like that. So I just want to tuck that straight into the deck. So it's not hard to really wick an RDA correctly. I'm not saying it can't go wrong, but it's fairly easy to wick an RDA. So again, I'm just going to give that just a slight haircut like that. Don't forget, guys, use small scissors. And then once I've got some juice on there as well, that will also help as well get into place. And there we are. So that is all wicked and nice. That is all wicked and nice and still fluffy. Let me pop that down there like that. And still fluffy. And in there and ready. Nice. So in this one, I want to juice. Let me have a look in my drawer for juice. So, is this the juice that I think it is? So, yeah. So, the juice, I'm going to corporate Jason 7 out of 10. That's better than lower than 7, I suppose. So, appreciate that. So, there we are. Mess up everything. So I am going to be using a bit of this juice here. This is another juice that's made for me. It's a peanut butter and cream, a clotted cream juice, and goes very well together and is very tasty. This is probably we're back, guys. Can you hear me again? Dangle clacks, definitely some dangle clacks. So can you hear me now? Perfect. Yeah, these mics that I've got only last about 3-4 hours. So thanks everybody. I'm just changing my mic. Hungry Hippo, I bet you will. You clack my dangles. So I don't know what part you didn't hear, but this is a peanut butter and clotted cream juice. If you didn't hear me what I was saying, it's been steeping for about 6 months. Peanut butter isn't too heavy. It's nice and mild with the clotted cream in there. So balances out absolutely amazingly. So just in case you didn't hear what the juice was that I will put in on this. So let's do some dripping and get these primed up. So I'm just going to completely douse this and press the power button. Just to get that all saturated in there. I will sort of dress and get the cotton saturated. There is some juice in the deck as well. There we are. This juice absolutely tastes phenomenal. So I am going to do a bit of adjustments here. Get this out of the way. Wow. Just the finger taste on that juice. Perfect. Wow. So Hungry Hippo, PBDX, I don't understand the DX. It's peanut butter and clotted cream. I don't understand what you mean by the DX part of your comment. Come on. Come on, Henry. Come on, Henry. No, this isn't my own recipe. I don't make my own juices yet, but I have my juice made for me. And I did put this flavor profile to the guy that makes my juice for me. And he did me a sample bottle here. So I definitely will be getting plenty more. So yeah, this is a DIY bottle, but I don't make my own juices yet. If you live in the UK, you know we're getting taxes in October, so that might be something else that I'm going to look into, making my own juice. But at the moment, I do have somebody or a couple of people that make my juice for me, so I don't really bother as much about it. But obviously, with this new vape tax and everything that's coming in the UK, we'll definitely be looking into making my own juices. So I'm going to put the top cap on, single coil reducer, got some tabs in there that correspond with the deck. So I just want to make sure that it's locked in like that. So drip tip, what am I going to use for the drip tip? So I do have another custom drip tip just here. So this is a copper drip tip. I don't even think that looks great on that. I'm not liking that. Yeah, I don't know why. It's probably just made cheaply. Obviously, there's nothing that can be done about it. I don't have many drip tips, so I don't know which drip tip to put on. So I've got one there. Tell you what, I will put this. Probably would. Nah, that doesn't look. So why don't I try the dock drip tip on this? Do you like that phrasing? Yeah, that does actually look quite nice on there. That dock drip tip does look good. 0.68. Let me. Nice and toasty. Now, what am I going to put this on? What am I going to put this on? Where are we? What shall I put this on? Nah, I will put it on that. It's not clean. True, but this is my building mod phrasing, so I won't actually be using this mod. So what I think I might do is fairly new one that I recently purchased. It's not new in any way, it has been out for quite a bit. I think I'll put it on the Saga series mech. So this is the Saga Mini, by the way, not the OG Saga, and this is in sage green. looks really nice. From Vapor's Cloud. And I got this for a steal as well. If you're looking for a Saga Mini, drop me a message and I'll let you know where you can get one for a steal. More or less quarter of the price they normally are. So center pin is adjustable. I don't know if I will need to adjust it. So let's get some batteries. So these are my series batteries. Again, some ODB booby wraps on there. That one's A and that one's B. So some OBD booby wraps just there. So let's pop that out. Take my spares out there as well. So on the inside you do have a straight head and a Phillips head screw in there to represent where your battery needs to be. So negative down on the left, positive way down on the right. And like I said before, use married batteries that go in the same type of mod. Don't be skimping, marry your batteries. Don't use odd batteries because then they're just going to discharge at different times and you don't want that, because then you're going to cause problems, and in the worst case scenario you're going to end up in a sticky situation. So yeah, we've got power just there. That doesn't look too bad, the purple and the green. The drip tip obviously goes with the Saga and the button. Nice and toasty. Let's get a bit more juice in there. Series build on a series mech, you definitely need plenty of juice on there. There we are, perfect. So let me take this off, swivel your back around and get you there. Okay. There we are. Sorry guys, just need to do a bit more adjustment here. There we are. That is a lot better. Without you looking at my hand. Gaming Vapor. It's not a problem, Gaming Vapor. Thanks for dropping in. I appreciate it. Alright, Hungry Hippo. Alright. I'm getting there. I'm getting to it. Sorry, just OCD if the camera's not good. Make sure my autofocus isn't on. So that's brilliant. Right. Let's get going. So, cheers, guys. I'm not going to pair it with the sour. So, second build of the night, some Steamcraft coils in there. Give them a try if you've never tried Steamcraft coils. They're excellent coils. So I've got it on the Saga there. Bonza Pro, single coil configuration, airflow all the way open. Wow, that peanut butter has got a lot better since I last tried it. Clouds are working. So gaming vapor, I don't have the Blaze Pro Max RTA. I could do a build for that, but I don't actually have that RTA. Corporate Jason, yeah, it does look really nice. Hungry Hippo, thanks. Canada. It's always snowing in Canada. It's very cold weather in Canada. Flavour, can't fault it at all with the Bonza Pro. If you don't have a Bonza Pro, get it. Hopefully at some time I'll get round to getting the Bonza RTA. Definitely safety first. So this is a full-on mech mod. So you need to be careful. If you're new, don't use a series mech mod. Do your research on them because you need to build at a certain ohms and everything. It's not as simple as using just a straightforward normal mech. That peanut butter juice, I definitely need to get some more of that juice. That is tasty. Best way I can describe it, even though it hasn't got chocolate in it, it tastes like a Reese's peanut butter cup. That's what it tastes like, this juice. It is gorgeous. Even though there isn't any chocolate in there, in my head, I'm sort of like tasting chocolate from it. Wow. So where are you getting that from, Gaming Vapor? That sounds like an absolute flipping monster. 800 watts? Flipping heck. You know what, Gaming Vapor, when you get that, you're going to have to send it and just straight up blow it out at 800 watts. I don't care if you get a dry hit or anything. It needs to be done. It definitely needs to be done. So like I say, if you've stumbled on my channel and we're talking about mechs and stuff, if you don't know anything about it, do your research. Don't just go and pick up one. Safety first. Do your research. Know what type of mech you're using, whether it's a normal mech, a hybrid mech, a normal mech, a series mech. You need to know these things before you start messing around with stuff like this. Unless you're in the know, that's fine. But if you're brand new and you're thinking, oh, that looks so cool, I want to get one, do your research first. Definitely Corporate Jason. Safety first. Definitely if you've stumbled upon this and you don't want to be messing around with series mech mods or hybrid mech mods because they can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. And as Corporate Jason says, we have a duty as vapors to teach safety as well. And those coils are kicking ass as well. Steam Crave coils, like I say, if you've never tried them, definitely try them. They are a brilliant coil. A lot better than what I build any day. Gaming Vapor, that is sweet. So who are you getting them made from, Gaming Vapor? Bit dry there. So with series build, you obviously have to keep juiced up and plenty of juice in there. They sound like they're going to be some hell of a beast. FYK Customs. I don't think I follow them. I'm going to have to follow them. Gaming Vapor. Excuse me. Peanut butter definitely doesn't go well with the sour. Tell you that now. Disconnected. You're reconnected. Perfect. Let's have a look at everything here. Make sure everything is good. So thanks guys. Thanks for everybody that is here, that is stuck with the live stream. I hope you're enjoying the content. Every week I'm trying to make it a little bit better than what it was the previous week. I am streaming on a shoestring. So as much as I want it to get better, it's obviously going to get time. Hopefully I will end up with a dual camera setup and not just using the one camera or mobile phone that I'm using now to stream. Excuse me. I appreciate that, Hungry Hippo. Yeah, like I say, no breaking time when I feather that cotton out. There is no breaking time whatsoever with this Kendo cotton. If I don't do that and I just thin it out once I've put it in, still doesn't make a difference. But thinning it out before I put in, there's no breaking time for this Kendo cotton. Definitely one of my favorite RDAs. The Bonza Pro was my favorite RDA of 2025. Not that I buy a lot of new stuff, even though I do buy new stuff. I buy more older stuff that is cheaper. But I do buy new stuff. Like I say, that I've got the recoil, and then obviously a few things from Early Bird. I do have a few recent stuff, but I tend to go for old school stuff that, in my opinion, are still kicking it with stuff that is out today. Okay, just stuff that was made well. Yeah, Puff Wicks are supposed to be really, really good. I mean, I need to try some different cotton that's recently come out or come out in the past couple of years. I've used quite a lot of cotton, but I still elevate towards Kendo cotton. But I do need to try some different cotton or different brands of cotton. But you get set in your ways. You find a cotton that you like and you tend to stick with it. Oh, that's what I do anyway. I get set in my ways. I like a certain thing. I stick with it. Same with juices as well. That's why I get my juices made for me as well, because I'm not one of these that'll buy a juice and end up not liking it. I ain't got time for all that. I rather have a juice that I know I can make, or the people that make me juices knows my flavor profile, and I can always hit it more or less spot on. Nice. That's nice. Obviously, the Heracles on the cheese grater as well. So that as well has been standing for a bit and it hasn't flooded or anything. Still wicking nice. 95 watts, still kicking ass. Yeah, still kicking ass, still great flavour. Not on par with the Bonza Pro, but not far off. I wouldn't say it was far off. Yeah, we all do that. We all do that, Gaming Vapor. BP Mods, I've heard, does good cotton. I can't remember if I've tried it though in the past. It's one of those that I can't remember, but I have tried more or less nearly probably all the cotton that was out probably about 5-6 years ago. I've tried, but obviously within that time, new cotton has come out as well. So don't forget, guys, my review for the Turnstone from Early Bird has been uploaded earlier on my channel. Go check that out as well. Brilliant, brilliant RDA. I know there's no drip tip on it. Which is one of the things we used to do back in the day, was take the drip tip out so we had a bigger hole to obviously do really low builds on. Yep. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All excellent, guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it there for this week's stream. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you've just joined and you like the content, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Comment as well. Share to anybody. YouTube doesn't like us. So all the likes, all the comments, all the subscriptions help get this video to the people it needs to be at. So I appreciate all of you, every one of you that has dropped in, dropped out, and stayed with the live stream. I do appreciate it, and hopefully I will see you on next week's live stream. So yeah, follow me on social media, Instagram, Facebook. I'm more on Instagram than I am Facebook. Anything that gets posted on Instagram automatically gets posted on Facebook as well. So if you want me or need to message me, do it through Facebook, do it through Instagram. That's my platform of choice, and that's where I like to be. That's where I do most of my work and stuff like that. Here every Tuesday, 8 p.m. every week without delay, as well as posting shit on social media. I do reviews every now and then, but I prefer to go live because I can interact with my audience as well. I prefer that. I can have a chat. I can talk to people. People can ask me questions there and then and all that stuff like that. So I'll stop waffling on, guys. Thanks for joining. I'll see you next week. And as always, vape safe. Love and respect. Love you all. Peace and love, guys. And I will see you guys on the next one.